The Alchemist's WaWa pedal. The message was deceptively straightforward. Leaders across the world acted predictably when the message started appearing. At first they tried to hush it up, and then they tried to deny it. There had only been a few odd occurrences, after all. There was a perfect black and white replica of Leonardo's Vitruvian Man burnt into a slice of toast in Fort Lauderdale. A giant eye appeared on the south face of the Great Pyramid of Giza. A statue of the Madonna in a garden in Padua opened its eyes and spoke in a voice that everyone in earshot heard as their mother's, even in recordings. All accompanied with the message, "Prove you are worthy." Religious leaders denounced the miracles as satanic tricks or distractions from enlightenment, but the miracles kept coming. A giant cloud of purple butterflies descended on a temple in Bali in the exact anatomical shape of a human heart. The heads of the most powerful crime families across the planet were haunted by dreams of children's birthday parties and eventually settled their differences over cake and ice cream. One morning, every item in the British Museum was discovered to be missing, only to have it appear in its country of origin. And in every case, there was the same message: prove that you are worthy, written in the local language. When political leaders learned that they had no control over these miracles, again, predictably enough, they panicked and would have gone to war if not for the utter refusal of their subjects to cooperate. Having witnessed real, indisputable power, the people were not inclined to kill or die for mere presidents and kings. Prove you are worthy. There were the predictable arguments over who was sending this message to humanity. Very smart and very stupid people alike advanced theories. It was aliens. It was ourselves from the future. It was from the whales who had finally had enough. It was the return of ancient gods, or angels, or God with a capital G. Prove you are worthy. Depending on the language, the you might be singular, plural, or universal. And don't even get me going on what worthy might mean, said the Vatican's chief linguist. And still, the miracles kept coming. The Red Sea actually turned red. The Yellow River turned canary yellow. Tribes of Amazons appeared on the banks of the Amazon. Prove you are worthy. Given long enough, though, and enough chances, humans generally come up with good ideas. Across the planet, the greatest geniuses began to gather and collaborate. Physicists and historians, composers, high school football coaches, Aboriginal shamans, one pizzeria owner from Bushwick who claimed to have perfected the perfect sauce-to-crust ratio, economists, artists, and medical researchers. Maybe worthy meant compassion, it was speculated. Within a year, a group of Danish sociologists and a Korean botanist had made progress on ending homelessness. A coalition of Russian and Canadian doctors found affordable, ethical, and effective ways to alleviate pain. Parents were found for orphans around the world. Prove that you are worthy. Maybe worthy meant to build something great. A team of engineers, geologists, and, not surprisingly when people thought about it later, subway buskers started to work on a clean, safe, and efficient transportation system that would deliver people anywhere in the world. It would take decades to complete, but the simulations were promising. Prove you are worthy. Anyone whose ego got in the way was ignored until they stomped off in frustration. It was impossible, given our inherent flaws as humans, that everyone with a productive idea was listened to. But perhaps for the first time ever, we really tried. New art forms were developed. The cross between kung fu and tap dancing was not an unreasonable development, perhaps. But free diving and bonsai gardening took everyone by surprise. Virtual reality gave paintings the ability to talk directly to anyone viewing them. Art critics were given a lot to think about by the portraits of models who had no patience for pretension. A mural in an alley in Sao Paulo gave grandmotherly advice to the lonely. Prove you are worthy. Collaborations which had been literally unthinkable started yielding results. String theorists and chefs, acrobats and economists, jazz musicians and thermodynamicists. And in New Orleans, in the spring of the 5th year of the miracles, there was a somewhat more personal collaboration between a heavily tattooed medieval historian named Victoria and a blues guitarist who called himself the Kahuna. This was a collaboration that a little less than a year later resulted in their daughter Violet. In time, Violet grew strong and brave and beautiful and was, in deference to her kind and brilliant parents, awarded the title the Alchemist's WaWa pedal. In the end, it was she who discovered our worthiness and got us where we are today. The Alchemist's WaWa pedal, the cocktail. So, start with snacks. Snacks are vitally important. Plus, I don't get to use my pineapple-shaped snack dish very often. Okay, so we're going to lean heavily on sort of a gimmicky liqueur, Goldschlager, which most of us have had once or twice in our life, and we say, okay, fine, that's a fun gimmick. It's a cinnamon-flavored liqueur. Nothing wrong with it. But the gimmick is that it's got actual little flakes of real gold floating around in it. And for a story about miracles, let's go with some gold. Of course, as Robert Frost said, nothing gold can stay. So, again, what's more transient than a cocktail? Okay, so let's put an ounce of the Goldschlager in and just top the champagne flute up with a nice dry Prosecco. Now, I normally don't like my sparkling wines all that dry because I've got the taste buds of a rhinoceros, but in this particular case, this will allow you to taste the grapiness of the Prosecco without overwhelming it. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4 drops of rose water. And as always, you got to be super careful with the rose water because too little and you're not going to be able to taste it. Too much and it tastes like grandmother's soap. But there. And if we can't be classy, we can look classy. Oh, yep, I'm getting the rose. Well, let's try it. You got your cinnamon, you got your wine, and you got your flowers. Not to mention little tiny flakes of gold. And the three complement each other pretty well. And I think we could all do with a little more sophistication and perhaps a little tiny miracle in our life.